Hey, welcome to the Grit Crusade, where we get real in the trenches.
That was good.
I'm your host, Brooke Plack, woman business owner, serial entrepreneur, and family woman. I'm passionate about starting businesses. I love my family, and I am dedicated to the community in which I serve. And I have a co-host today. Yeah, you've seen him before. David Roberts.
Yay!
Welcome. How was that?
That was like Saturday Night Live parody. That was great.
I was doing the best I could.
That was
to
like
keep a straight
absolutely.
face,
But
too.
the best part is you smiled.
Yeah.
It didn't move.
Well,
it
that's
stayed frozen.
that's like that
the whole
cheerleader.
Time.
Yeah, that's what I used to
It's like,
aggravate.
don't move. Just stay smiling.
Well,
Look.
because I knew if I moved, I'd mess up.
Oh,
Yeah.
you start giggling.
That's
You
right.
did it. You kept
That's
the
what I
frozen
used
pose.
to do with my sister when she was doing cheerleading.
Yeah.
Just always smile and do that.
Silent, nodding their
Yeah,
head.
you got to do the head.
Yeah.
And then everybody just thinks it's great.
Yeah. I learned cheering for the Razorbacks in college. If you squint your eyes and open your mouth, it looks like you're smiling from far away. It's
Yeah.
like after 6 hours of like a long game with overtimes and stuff, it's like there's no more.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing
That's
left.
it.
So
That's
just
all you got.
Go ahead and open your eye.
Do you know? Oh,
Is this a good trivia
hey,
question?
it's a great trivia question, and it wasn't even
Good.
planned.
Oh, go for it.
Do you know that one of the things that makes you expend the most energy when you are running is where it comes from? But I'm guessing most things is, this isn't really a trivia question, just more of a fun fact.
Yeah.
Squinting your eyes, which is why distance runners, wear sunglasses and hand-or hats when they're competing.
Oh, I thought it was like to protect from skin cancer, but
well,
that's
that too.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but squinting your eyes, it does. Like,
It
you just-
requires a lot of energy. And
Yeah.
so over a long period of time of constant squint.
Get enough Discord or Botox, you can't do that anymore. So just stay happy all the
Right,
time.
that's
yeah,
right.
they don't have to worry about it.
That's true.
Well, we actually have a purpose for being here today, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
We're gonna
we do. What
talk.
are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about balance
Yeah.
and relationships.
Yeah, we are. And so if you guys have not listened to the episode 1 of this mini series, right?
Correct.
So we'll link it in the show notes that way. And we'll also link David's previous, like initial, like you got
Yeah,
invited
which is-
back.
I
You're
know.
the first person that's ever
Yeah, I
been
was wondering-
invited back.
I was wondering if you made a mistake. I didn't want to bring it
Yeah,
up too early.
right,
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, wait, he's already been here.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is actually your third episode.
Third episode. Yep.
Episode on the Grit Crusade. So
That's
I
correct.
must like you.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I'll take it as an honor.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah,
haven't listened to David's first couple of episodes, you'll need to listen to those. But we have a really good time on here.
Yeah, we've always had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one has been a few months now.
Yeah.
And you've done many since
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. We're in like 40s at this point, I think.
Oh, you've done quite a
40s,
few. Yeah.
40s and 40s or 50s
Yeah.
will be this one. Yeah.
And you've
so,
had some great people locally and even
yeah,
did a
not
little bit
locally.
in, Northwest Arkansas.
I
Had
did,
a couple of
and-
celebrities.
And then I did somebody from LA that was on the
I haven't seen that
a
one.
lot captain. Her name was Brittany Baxter. She was a lot captain during the writers and actors strike.
Oh, wow.
Which by the time this episode launches, hopefully it's resolved. The writer's strike has now been
Yep.
resolved. They've gotten a very significant increase in their streaming residuals, which is a big deal.
Okay.
It's big. I don't know how familiar you
Not.
are with this. And so now they're going back to the negotiating tables with the actors. AI is a big part of it.
Yep.
But this is a fun fact that we talked about in the episode with Brittany Baxter and we'll link it in the show notes for you guys that haven't seen it, that so 80% of SAG-AFTRA, which is the Actors
Yep.
Guild, okay.
Yep.
so 80% of them don't make enough to get health insurance through the SAG-AFTRA and
Wow.
in LA, Los Angeles, California.
Correct.
The salary minimum for that or pay minimum for that would be it's $27,000 a year. So 80%
make less.
than $27,000 a year.
Wow.
And
Which is why they say things like starving artists, and you don't think about
And they
the
can't
disparity.
even hold down like other full-time jobs because when you do
Right.
get a gig,
Get called, you got to go.
4 weeks out
Right.
or whatever,
Yep.
you're gone. And so, so it's a thing. Like you want quality.
Makes sense.
We want quality entertainment, but
Yeah.
it's all this is allegedly like, right. But there's so much going to the top.
Well, of course,
You
yeah.
know, and
when
so-
you think about it,
Yeah.
I'm guessing,
Yeah.
and I never have thought about it till you just said that, but yeah, I'm sure there's a huge disparity between the A-list celebrities, the
Absolutely.
Denzels, and then the guy that's an extra
But you have one Denzel on a movie
That's my
with
point.
300
and something.
Right.
plus.
And so the big qualm there was like, it's not a ripple effect, something I've talked about, I think on our last episode is the caterers and the hairdressers
right.
and the
But
people
you
that weren't
need
even
all of those
actors,
people.
but they've all been out of work too
That's right.
during the strike.
Yep.
So it's a big economic
Wow.
impact there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, So Brittany Baxter was a great connection. She's actually a girl from
Yeah.
Bryant.
Oh,
And so
wow.
we did a, remote episode and just learning about all the relationships that she was building there with all the different aspects of the film industry was very, very
Yeah,
unique.
that's super cool.
Yeah, it's very unique.
So
It's
you knew her from
I
here.
didn't know her. So a friend tagged me. So she's a few years younger than me,
Okay.
like maybe closer to your wife's age. You
Yep.
know, that young one
Oh,
you
wow.
got? Yeah. I don't know if she's that young. She's in her 30s. Caitlin's still brushing that off.
Yep.
Yeah. She's in that 20s.
Hold
that
steady.
20s.
28,
Yeah.
holding steady.
She's
That's
the only
right.
28-year-old friend I've got. I like that. Yeah. And so we're the goofy ones. So
Yeah.
she probably would keep us straight. So a mutual friend of ours made an introduction. And so
Cool.
that worked out really well because she was wanting to get on a podcast to tell her story
Wow.
and what was going on, just to bring more awareness to it, to
Different
let
perspective too.
people know that it wasn't just people that are millionaires that are, these are people just
Right.
trying to make mortgage and make
Yeah,
the rent.
normal people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just regular people, which is what most of the film industry is.
That's what I was going to say. You figure most people go out there hoping to get a chance to be the millionaire,
Yes.
but they're working normal 9-to-5 jobs
Yes.
or waiting tables or doing
Yes.
whatever, trying to
Yep.
get a chance or a
Yep.
break.
Yeah.
So you don't think about
Yeah,
that
but
there's-
it's all, kind of gets into who you know, which is
Wow.
what we're talking
Yeah.
about today is
That's right.
relationships.
Yep,
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah. So we were talking about before we started recording today about Enneagrams.
Yeah.
And I've talked about those on the show, except I said, like, what is name, right? And you're
Right.
like, what? What was
Yeah.
that? So something that I am not normally, like naturally, let me say naturally, I'm not naturally an interpersonally like gifted person when it comes to like I just go and do
Right.
right and do good and never really thought about other people's feelings about it.
Right.
Didn't think about it until one of my staff members, Lisa, started working really close with me and was like, you got to think about the way you're talking to people. I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't mean anything by it.
Right.
Well, it didn't matter if I meant anything by it.
It's how they took it or received
Right.
it.
Yeah. And so it brought a lot of awareness into my life. And so something we started using in our companies was the Enneagram test.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of personality tests in there. But the cool thing about Enneagrams is how people, it's a test. And if you do the free test online, which we can link in the show notes, is great. But there is like a paid one that's
Yeah.
way more in depth. That's a little, probably more accurate. But it shows how people see the world.
Right.
And I think that's huge.
Yeah. What is your viewpoint on it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because people's lens into the world is always different based on their past experiences and
Correct.
their travel or
Yep.
not, or where they grew up
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's super interesting. And you're probably much more familiar with it and use it far more than I do, but I am familiar
Yeah.
and knew what my numbers were.
Yeah, you
which
did.
y'all
And you were
thought
like,
I
what are
wouldn't-
they?
Yeah, y'all thought I wouldn't know.
You're just
3
like
and 7.
5, 6,
3
7,
and
8
7.
over there.
3 and 7.
And 7's the fun. That's the fun in you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like to have fun, try to see the fun in everything. But I do find those things interesting, and
Yeah.
I do think that most of the time they're probably pretty accurate. And correct.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But it's no different than just talking about relationships as a whole, like the love language stuff. It's more about
which is good too.
yeah, it's not about how you're loving somebody. It's kind of how they need to be loved by you.
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
Caitlin's love language? Do you know?
I don't know, but I think it's
Wah,
I don't know what it's really called in the love language world, but we do talk about that and openly communicate about the fact that
Like,
we
does she like gifts or does she like quality time?
yeah, she's
or-
more quality time and
time.
affection and
Okay, so
those kind of
physical
things. Yeah.
touch and there's like acts of service and then maybe one more. I'm forgetting something. Yeah, there's another
and so
one.
I would default, like for me, I would default to giving more in the acts of service way. I also like quality time and those things, but my natural, I think, response in not in just that relationship, but just in relationships would be doing things for people. But sometimes, and to your point, sometimes that probably means more to me maybe than they receive it.
Well, that's 100% true because so before we did Enneagrams, we had done love languages probably from the very beginning of my business, learning people's love
Really?
languages. Yeah. And so my love language is gifts. And it's not the size of the gift. It
Right.
could be like a pink bag of Starburst because
Right.
I love pink Starburst. But it's the fact that someone thought of me before the moment.
Correct.
That's huge to me.
Yep.
And so I also default naturally to give gifts, right?
Mm.
And 96% of my staff's love language was quality time.
Wow.
And I didn't really, like, you're here, you love what we do, you know what we're doing here?
Right.
Who needs me to come hang out? And I can
they do.
feel,
But they do.
I can
Yeah.
feel when they need me more. And it's like they like haven't seen me in a week or
Right.
so, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we run operation from 6:30 to 6:30 to 8:30, 6:30 in the morning to 8:30 at
Yeah.
night. and everyone's in different shifts between
Right.
their programs. And so it's impossible for me to see everyone.
Yeah, so you might go a period of time and
I
not
may
see
go a month,
somebody.
a month
Yeah.
and a half, not see anybody.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean I've not been on site, but
Right.
it may be that I've been working in our offsite office, or it may be that I was there in the morning and they're there at night,
Yeah.
but I can sense that. And it's
Sometimes
something,
they just need that physical presence.
yeah. And so I think it's learning people is so key, you
Yeah.
know, to running teams, having a partner in life, you
Yep.
know, your kids, like everybody. It's such a, it's such a, and like, you know, even with physical touch, you don't want somebody hugging you all the time.
Right,
So
absolutely.
there is a balance
Yeah.
piece in there,
Sure.
right? Because we're talking about balance.
Yep,
That's
that's
our
right.
series.
No, that's exactly
Yeah,
right.
that's our
Well, and
series.
that's interesting that you bring that up, and that's something I never thought of that I think people could take away from this is those tests are, I mean, even the paid ones are relatively inexpensive in
Yeah.
the big scheme of things.
They are.
And most people probably don't think about, and I really never have either, love language as it associates to business.
It does.
But really, if you think about it, if people feel appreciated and feel loved, the love language, and then you understand their personality
Yeah.
and where their viewpoint is coming from, you can really connect with all
Yeah.
those people, which then helps with all the challenges of employee retention and fun
It
culture
does.
and environment. Yeah.
Yeah, we
that's
always
awesome.
have all the love languages. Like we have like a spreadsheet, favorite sonic drinks, love language, Enneagrams,
Great
that
idea.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we share it with everybody because it's important for everybody to know
Yeah,
each other.
they need to know too.
And usually when stuff goes awry, like I had a staff member that was with me when he was in college, graduated college. And it, for some reason, it wasn't until we started working on the marketing team together that I took a second to go back and look at his Enneagram numbers.
What did you realize?
I literally called him and I was like, "Do you think I'm the biggest bitch in the world ever?" And he was like, "No, why?" I said, "I looked at your Enneagram numbers. He's a 2. 2 are helpers. They're very like a lot more like emotionally, you know, and he's a big guy."
Yeah.
And I stereotyped that and thought he was like a totally different number
Right.
than he was. But if I had understood, and of course he loves me and he's a great man. And so he's so forgiving and just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's no big deal," like whatever. But like, really, like I was a lot more gruff in my approach with
Right.
him than I
Than you
should have
would've
been.
been.
Or
Right.
would have been. Yeah.
Because some
Yeah.
people need the gruff
They
approach.
do.
Right.
But some people don't. They need a little calmer presence and they don't do well with, I'm extra, I'm a little extra,
Yeah.
you know, and I got a lot of energy. And some people need that toned down,
Right.
you know? And I
That's
think
very
that was
interesting.
something that if I had learned when I was younger,
Right.
would have been a really valuable lesson for me. Like
Yeah, I
in
think
high
that's
school.
very interesting. You know, the cliche statement is you have to manage people different ways. But if you've never taken the time to understand the different ways you really need to manage them,
Yeah.
then I think that's just a statement. So
Yeah.
I do think that's very interesting. Kudos to you guys for
Thank you.
doing that. Yeah.
It's
that
it's
makes a lot of
important.
sense.
It is so important, and it helps me with conflict resolution.
Well,
And
yeah, absolutely.
understanding the why things happen the way they do, and
Absolutely.
understanding who not to give hugs to.
Right.
I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
And I got staff members that like they recoil,
Yeah. Who needs it? Who doesn't?
and who is not physical touch,
Yep.
and you know it.
And
you
some,
know.
yeah. No, you're absolutely
And
right.
some people, like I can walk in and Miss Pam, who's been working with me, she's in her 60s. She's a legend coach around
Yep.
here. I could walk in and give her a hug, and that be it. And she's
That's it.
happy as
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
She
Enough
loves
said.
that. She
Enough
loves
said.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
loves that. But if I walked in and didn't talk to her or didn't
Right.
that she notices.
It would be
Somebody
a problem.
walks in and doesn't talk to me and leaves, I never notice.
You don't think about it.
No, but they bought me a bag of Starburst, I noticed.
Right.
Yeah.
Words of affirmation is that's
Yeah.
another one, right?
Yeah. Is that important to you?
No. But along those lines, no, it's not super important to me. I think everybody enjoys hearing those things, but no, it's not probably not received to me the same way it is to others. But in turn, the challenge is then if you don't see the value in it yourself, forcing yourself to do that to the people that do need that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the challenge that people in the relationships, both in business and personal life and making network connections,
Yeah.
all of the above, again, it goes back to how is it being received. It's less about what
Right.
you're trying to deliver and more about what they're receiving.
Boy, yeah, I think that's true. My preacher said at church a couple weeks ago, Tommy, you know Tommy
Yeah,
Jones?
yeah, yeah.
He said, and I'm pretty sure Tommy said it, but if he didn't, so I'm just giving him
Right,
credit.
give him
But
a
yeah,
plug.
I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
him. That love never expressed cannot be felt.
Mm.
So I think that's true for every emotion.
Absolutely.
Appreciation,
Yep.
anything. And I'm not a words of affirmation person. Like I remember my dad asking me in the 11th grade one time, "Do you have homework?" And I looked at him and I said, "I'm 17 years old in the 11th grade and you've never asked me if I have homework. Do you think I need you to check up on me?"
Right.
Like I don't need somebody to tell me, I don't need you in my business. That's how I feel. And somebody's like, "You did a good job." Well, hell yeah, I did a good job.
Right. That's what
Like
I do.
I worked my butt
Yeah,
off.
that's what I do.
Yeah, yeah. But But
I do this.
Right, but that's not how everyone is. And so I think
Yeah,
it was a
right.
critical moment for me in my leadership. Thankfully, earlier on, because I had surrounded myself for people that were different than me,
Yep.
which is important to me.
Yep. Right.
I'm very big on having diversity in all different ways, backgrounds,
absolutely.
education, everything. And I think it grows you. But having those people around me helping me to realize you really don't know people,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
Like you need to know people more.
Right.
You know, I was great at customer relationships.
Yep.
Handle all that. I'm providing a service. I make you feel special, all of that. But when you're working with someone years over years
Right.
over years, you got to be able to hear them
Yeah. Absolutely.
and know them, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't go well, how to address that.
That's right.
Because some people I can call and be like, hey, listen, that didn't come over well. All right, we're good. Done. Other ones, it's going to take mending.
Right.
That's kind of tiring.
Can be.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's very interesting.
I mean, learn why you didn't think that about me.
Well, no. Again, I've just never even thought about, and this is probably the male in me.
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
thought about the love language aspect
Yeah.
as being utilized for business, but it makes perfect sense. And I don't know why people don't think about that. So again, I think that's something we can all learn
I
from that
think
people
they
should
have
do
like
more.
love languages for kids, love languages for like marriage. I think they've like, you know, chicken soup. Remember the
Oh
chicken
yeah,
soup
yeah,
books?
absolutely.
And then they diversified
Yep,
all of
yep.
them. I think love languages has done that. I have not studied any of the different versions at all. I never studied anything past just the basic
Yeah.
5. I don't think I've read the whole book. I think I just did some research online.
Cliff
We were-
notes.
Yeah, Cliff
Yeah,
Notes.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of Cliff Notes girl.
Right.
And so, but yeah, it's very interesting to see how people see the world and how they receive
That is
things,
interesting.
you know,
Yeah.
because we're all wired so differently from a
Very different.
a child
Yep.
and like a childhood and your experiences and they say like the way your parents talk to you becomes your inner voice.
Right.
You
Makes
know?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That makes sense.
yeah, it does.
Never heard that either. I'm learning all kinds of stuff today.
Dang, I feel like
I'm growing. I'm growing here.
right in
Yeah,
the
right.
episode.
And
I love
right.
it. I got more where this came from. Yeah, I got more. I
That's
got
pretty
more.
cool, though. No,
I
it
know.
makes perfect
I learned
sense.
a lot of it the hard way though too, because I feel like there are definitely people along the way that could probably be like, she is a bitch, you know. And I probably have
Well,
been.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you're passionate, scared about failure,
Yeah.
wanting to succeed.
Yeah.
The frustrations, nervousness, anxiety of running businesses or starting businesses. I mean, that's tough anyway.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of
I
emotion.
saw a quote online the other day that was like, "Don't compare the past version of me, or don't judge me on the past version of me. Like, see me on the present
Right.
version of me." Yeah, because people do grow.
Oh, of
And so
course,
you've
everybody's going through seasons.
yeah, but so many
Yeah.
times though, I think that as a say like we, not necessarily like me and you, but like
Right.
we as a culture don't give that grace. You know, we see
I
like
agree with
you
that
see
too.
the
Yeah.
spotlights on that
Perspective.
on that moment.
Right. In
yeah.
that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was my interaction with that person at that time? And then that stays with you forever. And that's
Yeah.
not fair. Yeah. I
So
agree
you
with that.
worked in a predominantly male environment. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's fair.
Yep. So I feel like men, historically speaking, don't communicate a lot about their feelings.
Right.
My husband and I just had this conversation about sports.
Yep.
So there's a book out about this, and I cannot think of the name of it. I was trying to think of it the other day. But basically, like in America, maybe more than this, but this book talks about in America how the men's viewpoint of and like their emotional processing and everything is like filtered so much through sports.
Yep.
And like if you stand around with guys and you talk, you're like, "Hey, how's it going, man? See that sports game? Here we
Right.
go." Well, all we did was talk surface level though.
Yep. They never get
But
deep.
women, it's like, yeah, I had a miscarriage last
Right.
week, and then we
Yep.
lost the baby, or my
Very
mom's
deep.
in the
Yep.
yeah, and so it's led to this culture where men don't emotionally process
Right.
together. And so, how did you see that in your business, like when you had your team? Because
Yeah.
how many team members were you running?
At our biggest, a little over 200.
Whew.
Yeah.
Mostly men.
Yeah. 198. Right. Yeah.
Those poor 2 chicks.
No, there were probably 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So if 205 people,
Oh,
maybe.
you said 205, not
Yeah.
200. Yeah, I
But
generalized.
It'd say 200.
Yeah.
It'd be like 195,
Yeah.
194.
Yeah. All right.
Mostly men, all direct reports. And so, yeah, you do see all of those different personalities
Yeah.
and different things. But you're absolutely right. And I think it's an insecurity, number one, of why men don't express their feelings and don't acknowledge what's really going on, which in turn gets taken out and expressed in a different way,
Like anger,
which is also hard to
frustration.
read.
Yeah.
Because it gets taken out in other ways. But I think a lot of that comes from upbringing and cultural and sports and kind of the men's men, cowboys don't cry
Yeah, like
mentality
there's no
of
crying
old
in
school.
baseball.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah.
Which is crazy because life's not easy. Business is not
Yeah.
easy and things happen. And so I think the faster, seems like as you get older, though, your perspective on a lot of those things change. I talked about
Yeah.
that. Like I feel myself getting softer as I get older, just with random things, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that, like I felt
That
something.
emotionally
I
affected
felt
me.
something that I wouldn't have felt 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I also think men, if they acknowledge those feelings, they can grow far beyond where they are in their current state.
Yeah.
And again, that's sort of the reason with coming from a very male dominated industry
Mm-hmm.
and then working with predominantly male driven businesses now. That's kind of the reason for it is men also don't like to ask for help because they very prideful and don't
Yeah.
want to acknowledge the fact that they
Kind of
don't know
like
how to do something.
that should feeling. I should be able to figure this out.
Right, which is crazy to me because that's another thing I don't feel. I too have always been fortunate to have surrounded myself with people that were far more intelligent, far more
Yes.
capable than me, far more creative, and a lot of great women that were far more capable and creative
Mhm.
and intelligent than me. And what I've recognized is, plug to all the ladies out there, great men are great, but women can do things and are really great at things that most men are just not.
Yeah.
And so if you can figure out how to intertwine those and balance
Yeah.
it and
Mhm.
balance the great qualities of most men
Yeah.
and then the great qualities, organizational qualities, nurturing qualities
Yeah.
of strong women,
Mm-hmm.
you can really take over the world.
Absolutely. My husband, took over operations of our companies in January,
Mm.
and so
So a shift from you,
a shift from me to him, and so
So
I am all organization.
female to male.
I'm all
right.
organizational. I'm all, these are all the things that have to get done. And
Right.
I'm also if you're not doing your job, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do it so
Right.
it gets done.
That's right.
Which is not sustainable. And that's not a long-term great
Right.
decision. And my husband is like, no, that's your job.
Right.
So as you can
Hold
imagine,
people accountable.
Yep.
Yeah.
that has created some turnover, some leadership challenges, some growing because there's new sheriff in town. And not in a bad way.
No,
but
I
these
get
are
it.
things we've had to process through because I probably did a little too much mama-ing.
Yeah.
You know what I
Nurturing.
mean?
That's
yeah.
the nurture.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see that. I can see that showing up. Because see, I work mostly with women.
Right.
Yeah. So we're probably like 20% men.
Yep.
80% women or so, and then I was in public education before this and same thing. It's probably
Sure.
less of a percentage of men. Yeah. And women are crazy. They're just crazy. And I'm a woman, so I can say
Right,
that. Like
yeah.
they're crazy. And our hormones change all throughout the month,
Right.
and so all this stuff's going on. And now looking back that I have so fortunate to have knowledge that I've picked up from other people
Right.
and it's people, that were ahead of me on that journey. I look back now and I'm like, that makes a lot more sense,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's probably pretty interesting and fulfilling at the same time for you to watch and get a different perspective now that Justin is doing that.
Yes, it is. And
because-
to bite my tongue.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. But one of the things that somebody said to me one time, and I don't remember who, but very profound now looking back, is that if you're the person as a leader
Mm-hmm.
that is tasked with doing certain things and you're the only one holding the responsibility and doing those things, number one, you don't have the right people around you.
Yeah.
And then also, if you find yourself getting frustrated or complaining about those that report to you, you shouldn't be in a position where you're doing that. Just fix the problem.
Yes.
Because if you're not fixing the problem, then you're actually the problem, not that person.
That's exactly
So
what
not
it is.
saying you were a problem and not saying there were problems, but
There's always problems.
probably
yeah.
pretty interesting though to look
It
back and
is.
go, wow, I was getting frustrated about a lot of those things because they weren't doing them. I was just stepping in and doing them. And now somebody's holding people's feet to the fire.
And
And you're probably like, even though you're biting your tongue, you're probably like, wow, I probably should have done some of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I
But
think
that's
so.
the balance of different personalities
It is.
and the difference in you and Justin and how he
Yep.
handles things or whatever. And I think that's true in all
It's
aspects
been
of
very
life.
interesting because he's a very, he's a 5 Enneagram. I think he says he's not, but he
What's
is.
5?
5's like introspective, very calculated,
Yep.
scientific, data driven,
Methodical. Yeah.
very methodical. He's going to plan everything out on a spreadsheet.
Analysis.
Yeah, he is all analysis. He really is. And he does have some like 1 and 3 in there, I think too. But he, so for him, things are like very like, and I'm more like all over the place.
Do you guys find that it would take him longer to make a decision because it's much more calculated?
Yes.
Where you're right
Bam,
now?
do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So we used to say in our businesses, not to cut you off, in our business, what we used to, because we had some very, very analytical,
Mm-hmm.
data driven, more engineering type
Mm-hmm.
personalities. And we would say, if we can get those people into the right role, there's nobody better in the world.
Yep.
But when you put them in a fast pace, got to go right now, it's
Yep.
kind of like paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
You know, they just
Mm-hmm.
can't get through the analyzing
Yep.
to make the decision. So you
Uh-huh.
need this fast mover, but then you need the person over here that's
Right. Yeah.
analyzing what these people. You just have
Well, and like
Again, balance.
Justin's was been, we joke in our company that he's been in every role that we've ever had. Like he was marketing, he was
Right.
operations, he was this,
Yeah.
he was that, because it was like trying out different things. And I'm
Mm.
like, just go,
Right.
just, you know, and now he's grown so much in his leadership
I'm
journey.
sure.
It's totally
Yeah.
different, you know, than it was in the beginning. But he came from a corporate world where he was doing inside sales and he
Yeah.
had headphones on and
Right.
ran spreadsheets all day.
Yeah. Now
You
I
know?
listened to his podcast.
Yeah,
I
totally
did.
different ballgame, you know. So it's very interesting to see the interpersonal dynamics and then the way people handle things, you know.
Right.
Because now that I'm not like, I know that there's a parent meeting happening tonight, and I know something happened 2 nights ago,
Mm.
and I don't know what it is, and this is like my personal victory. I don't brag on myself a lot, but I'm bragging. Is I don't really want to know.
Right.
I don't even need to know. Like,
Yeah, I would say that's a huge
Yeah.
win in growth, especially for
for-
your
yes,
personality.
yes,
right.
because
you would want to be
I
there,
want
want
to
to
know.
be involved,
Yeah,
want to
and
handle
I
it.
don't even need to.
Right.
Doesn't even bother
I'll
me.
handle it.
Yeah, and now I'm just
Yeah.
like, I trust them. They got it.
Right.
Like they totally got it. They're going to make a good decision. Even if it's not
Right.
the same one that I'm going to make, it's going to be a good
Well,
decision.
you know that they're going to have the best interest of the people and the
Yeah.
companies at heart.
Well, I think when you talk about relationships and like delegating,
Right.
that trust is so huge.
Huge.
It's so huge.
It's the number one thing.
And it does have to be earned.
Absolutely.
It does.
Yeah.
I believe, and this is one of our company principles because we are a very like principle driven company, but we believe that everyone deserves respect.
Yep.
Everybody, but that trust is earned.
Trust is earned.
We
Yep.
do. And so, and it's hard when it's broken.
And it will be.
And-
And people will
yeah,
disappoint you.
they
Yeah, and
do.
usually not the people you would expect that would disappoint
okay.
you.
Let me tell you this whole thing I learned. Okay, so we have this mentor in our industry. His name's Jeff Metzger, and he's a legend. His
Okay.
company's been around for 50 years now. He runs a small business boot camp for youth recreational
Wow.
sports.
Yeah.
It's very well known, respected. Like he's a great personality, great man. So
Where's he at?
He's in Ohio, in
Ohio, okay.
Cincinnati. So Jeff says, and this is interesting because there are people that argue with me on this. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Mm.
So he says that you should not have expectations.
Wow.
When you set an expectation, people will disappoint you. And then you are giving them control of your mental health.
Say that one more time.
When you have expectations, people will disappoint you.
Yep.
When you're now I'm disappointed.
Yep.
I've given them control of my mental health.
I agree with the statement as a statement,
Yeah.
but contextually, what does he say then how you should
So he says that
context here?
exactly, right? So if you don't have I'm like, well, I was the queen
Right.
of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
expectations.
So if I don't
was
have
the queen of high
expectations,
expectations.
right, what do I
have?
Right.
So he also believes that you can't motivate people, that you can only inspire them in the long term.
Right.
You can only
Lead by example.
You can only
Right.
put a carrot out there for so long.
Yep.
For the long term, you know. So he really truly believes in a little triad of giving people responsibility to make a decision.
Yep.
This is what you're responsible for. You got it? Do you know? Do you have any questions?
Right.
Okay, I'm done. Now you have the authority to make the decisions.
Yep. You have to empower people.
Give them a credit card if they have to
Yep.
spend money. Do
Makes
whatever
sense.
it is.
Yep.
And then you give them the autonomy. And you
It's on you.
you delegate to a fault.
It's on you.
Yep. And even if it's going to go wrong, that is a mistake that you're paying for is
Right.
paying for their growth and learning.
Mm.
So he has a different
Okay.
approach. He has
Yeah.
a very hands-off, different approach. And so there are people that disagree with that agree with that. My husband's kind of one of those ones on the
Yeah.
fence because he's still like, the expectation is this. And I'm like, we don't have expectations.
Right.
And he's like,
So you've embraced it wholeheartedly.
I have. Yeah, I have. And now it's hard because, I think there's a gap in there. It's like my dad's always taught hire, train, retain.
Right.
Inspect what you expect.
I was going to say that. That's another
Okay.
thing. Yeah, we used to say that.
So, but if I don't expect,
Right.
I still need to inspect, and there
Yep.
still needs to be accountability there. So how do you take that triad and tie it with like project management and accountability? Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, like with KPIs or key performance indicators and how you measure
Yep.
business units and profitability or whatever.
He has 3 KPIs,
Right.
and that's it.
Do you know what they are?
Yep. Enrollment numbers.
Yep.
Revenue growth.
Yep.
And company values.
And so I guess in a sense, there's an expectation that those will be good.
Yeah.
He just doesn't use that word and goes about it a different way. And I like that. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And then two, there's a flip side of talking about freeing people from all these expectations.
Yep.
There is no right way to do that.
Right.
I want you to, and I'm going to use this example, grow enrollment, grow revenue, and embrace our company values.
Right.
And I don't care how you do it.
Just go do it.
So there is that freeing feeling there too, right? Yeah. So, but you got to have the right people, huh?
Absolutely.
Get the wrong people, they're like, cake, salary,
right.
I'm in.
Done.
Yeah. You know?
People are the key, obviously,
right,
and trust.
Yes. Yeah. And so they, of course, have like annual rendezvous and like, which was what they call their evaluation.
Yeah.
And so we call it that now
cool.
too. Yeah, the rendezvous, because it's not evaluated. If there's a problem, we're going to deal with it right now.
Then. Yeah, we don't need to wait a year.
We're not waiting a year. Yeah, we're doing it now.
I've never believed in that.
Yeah. So, but the rendezvous gives you a chance to do cost of living increases, talk about look at those 3 things.
Sure.
3 things, and so anyway, a little introspection, peer review. So there's that kind of because that is a thing.
Can't say expectation.
Can't say expectation. Yeah. Meg's gonna be listening to this because she's one of the owners of the company now,
really?
and she's the vice president. She's a dear friend of mine, but she listens to the podcast, so hopefully Meg will have to hear this one. But so the thing about relationships, though, in general, so I learned that in business from Jeff, right? But in general, is we hold so many expectations of the people around us in relationships. But what if we didn't? Like, what if we didn't? Yeah. Like, because so many times you find yourself so upset about someone's post, comment, lack of.
Yeah. What if you removed all that from yourself?
Yeah.
Would it really carry any weight?
Could you find that balance?
Yeah. And most of the people, in thinking about that, I wouldn't argue with his theory or that theory at all. I think it goes back to balance. There's probably a right spot for all of those things. But to your point, I think if you have surrounded yourself with all of the right people, you probably need to put far less expectations in place anyway.
Yeah.
So if you're having to measure people by a list of expectations, they may not be the right person.
I like it.
You give a person a goal, you empower them to do it and make the decision, you pay them accordingly for what they're doing, and you let them go do it. And if they can't do it, they're probably not the right person. But most of the time, and I'm sure you see this too, we would say when we empowered people and let them kind of go on their own, they far exceeded what we had in our mind anyway.
Yes.
They did it better than we could do it. They were, and we used to say funny, again, little things when you're talking about inspect what you expect. All those things are sort of cliche that everybody uses, and we did too. And we would say, hire slow, fire fast.
Yep.
You want to find the right people. You want to correct problems when they're there so it doesn't create more problems. And then also we would say to hire for attitude and train for aptitude.
That's
because if you find the right people, you can teach them what you do and how to do the job successfully. But the key is finding the right person.
So we have part of our company values are hire the character, train the skill.
Same thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Same exact thing.
Yep.
Like if you don't love kids,
you don't need to be here.
You can't be here.
Right. That's right.
But if you love kids, we can teach you to teach anything. Right. Yeah.
We teach you to tumble.
We can teach you to spot something. We can teach you to talk to children. If you love whatever that in whatever industry, if you don't like cutting hair, you're never going to be a good hairdresser.
No, you're not.
So you got to be in that. So I think it's very interesting how all of these relationship things really are the same, whether it has to do with like your, romantic partner or a business partner or, all those things, because it's there's that ebb and flow and that balance and how do you not have some expectation of what this is me. So somebody's gonna get offended hearing this, but I don't care. So I get so aggravated when women are complaining about the gifts their husbands give them or don't give them for Christmas, birthday, whatever. They're like, well, he didn't even give me a blah, 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 blah. And this is my thing. I tell Justin what I want.
Right.
I want you to buy me an Aura ring for Christmas. And my birthday this year, he's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, I want a paddleboard.
Yeah. Yeah, I would rather have that conversation and you get what you want. Otherwise, we're just spending money.
There's no disappointment. There's no expectation that he was going to read my mind. There's no nothing.
Because that's not fair.
It's over.
Okay, so when you put it in that context, that's a great analogy, actually. Because when you put it in that context, I agree with that. That's not fair at all. Yeah.
And even at work, too, somebody will say, well, for months, this has been, we're not mind readers here.
Right. Yeah, have you expressed that for months?
I can help anything. I can step in. We can have conversations. Not scared of that. But I can read your mind.
That's a good...
So I think that's huge in relationships because it's a two-way street. You can't read somebody else's mind, so why do you expect them to read yours?
That's right. No, I totally agree.
But some people do struggle with the getting it out of their mouth. I think I'm the opposite. I think I struggle keeping
overly.
it in.
You're right.
Yeah,
That's me too. Yeah. Oh, way overly communicate.
Yeah.
100%.
How do you know what Caitlin wants for a holiday?
We talk about it just the same.
same.
Yeah. I would rather just say, this is what I want. Don't need to be a surprise.
Yeah.
Because at that point in your life, married and relationship,
You're going to spend money
you're spending
anyway.
money,
Yeah.
and most people are getting what they want throughout the year.
Yeah.
So there's no sense in even trying to. Now, we usually try to throw in some little.
He does too.
Yeah, some little subtle
He
surprise,
does
and
the
it's
same
less about
thing.
it being big or expensive
Like
and
he'll
just
get
more about
also
the
a
thought.
bag of pink Starbursts.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more about the thought.
And Halloween, he's going to get me. I like those. I don't like Reese's cups. I like the Reese's pumpkins and the Reese's eggs.
Yeah, I got
They
you.
don't taste the same. Do you think they taste the same as the Reese's cups?
I don't know that I've ever analyzed.
You're going to have to do this.
Yeah, I guess
this is
I will.
a big deal.
But I'm guessing it may be the brown paper on the outside, maybe messing it up.
I think it's the crinkle in the
it may be the crinkles.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so let's pause for a second. Do trivia in the trenches because
Okay.
I do have a trivia question for
Okay,
you.
and then I have a question for you, but it's not a trivia question. It's
pertaining to our topic.
what
We're
we're
going to
talking
be on topic. Look at us.
Kinda,
We've been
yeah.
on topic this whole
I
episode.
feel like we've done good.
Yeah, we've done good. All right.
Even if we're off topic, we've been on topic.
Kinda.
Yeah,
bringing it back. All right, ready? Trivia in the trenches.
I'm ready.
What was the first planet discovered by telescope?
I'm going with Mars.
No.
Mm,
I'm going to make you keep guessing.
Venus.
No.
Saturn.
No.
Oh, wow. Uranus.
Yep. I just wanted
Really?
you to have to say that.
And it's not even a planet anymore. So that's not a good question because it's not a planet anymore.
Says who?
Science.
Yeah, well, there's like an extra one after Pluto
Oh.
now too, right?
What's his name? Dave Nye? What's his name?
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye. Yeah, he said
Bill
it. Yeah.
Nye, the science
Science guy.
guy.
Right.
There
He
we
said
go. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Uranus.
I was trying to think of something
I just
like
wanted to make
closer.
you say Uranus.
Oh, that's
'cause
fine. I was trying to
funny.
think
Yep.
of something closer because
Nope.
I figured that would be the first one.
Yeah, guess what century it was founded in? This is what was amazing to me.
14th.
Oh yeah, see, you're like 1781.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so is that technically
Still quick. Is that like,
I thought that was like a long time ago.
well, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Like how good were the telescopes in
discovered it?
1781? I don't know. I didn't look that up.
You
Yeah,
didn't go that far.
no, I didn't. No.
Be curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
1781.
No, I'm like, man,
Pretty good set of binoculars.
That's
Yeah. That's a pretty good set there. Wow.
Okay, so what's your question for me?
Well, I was in playing on the balance and talking about business and the transition from you to Justin. There's another layer there to y'all's relationship in that you work together
Yeah.
and are married
Yeah.
and in a partnership outside of work,
Right.
which you hear people say, I could never work with my spouse. I would never
Mhm.
be able to do that. I mean, that's like the ultimate balance,
Yeah.
if I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So how do you guys find that you balance that? And how has that balance changed from, say, 5 years ago, 8 years ago
Yeah.
to today? Because and with a child now and all
Yeah.
those things, I mean, that's got to be
Yeah.
taxing at times because, or at least from my perspective, have no idea.
Uh-huh.
But I would think it's a challenge to come home and then the person you confide in also works at the same
Yeah.
place or is responsible
Yeah.
for some of the same things. So you can't gloat the same way or complain the same way
Yeah.
or exaggerate or fabricate certain
Yep.
things. You know, it's
Yep.
like you can't embellish on things that you
Yeah,
might
yeah.
otherwise do.
So it's interesting that you say complain. I'll start there. So I noticed pretty early on. Well, it's probably been so. Justin and I've been together for like 7 years.
Right.
So he's been with
10
years ago.
10
was the beginning.
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But it was still small.
Yeah, it was very small.
compared to today.
Very small.
Yeah.
And so he was the second full-time staff member, I think.
Right.
I
I knew
had.
he
Yeah, I
started
think
there
it was the
very
second
early. Yeah.
full-time staff member, I believe. So second or third, maybe somewhere around there. So I noticed that, and this was probably a little further on when he had gotten up into some leadership roles because
Right.
he was in corporate for a while before he came to
Yep.
work with us full time. And so I would complain about someone, and then I would notice his attitude change about them.
And that's my point. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the
And
ultimate
so I
balance.
realized that I can't do that anymore. Right. And so he did kick me out of the office this year. So we shared an
You go.
office. And
Yeah.
I think he was like, could you just be in the
Yeah,
front
because
room?
y'all had computers back
to back. Yeah. And so we're hearing all of each other's conversations all of the
Right.
time. And so I think even we didn't struggle as much then. I think I just got on his nerves because I was always having
Sure.
meetings and I was always on Zoom calls. And so the thing that has been the best, not just for he and I, but for our companies as a whole, is role clarity.
Well, you
So
have
we
to.
have, and
Right.
so there was a probably 4 or 5 years ago, I remember one of our staff members going, I mean, what am I supposed to be doing? And what are you supposed to be doing? And what is
Right.
he supposed to be doing? And there was that moment of like, we were all spinning our wheels just trying to keep everything afloat. Because
Right.
that's what the first
Everybody's wearing
6
multiple
years,
hats.
I tell people,
Yeah.
and I know they get disheartened when I say this, but I'm like, when you get to year 6, something magical happens.
Right.
Like you can breathe or something.
Yep.
But like those first years are so hard.
You got to find your
They're
sea
so
legs.
hard.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard. And so once we got role clarity, and then that is an evolving thing that we do every year again.
That's good.
We keep going back to that role clarity, and we're a very flexible and fluid company. And I'm like, if that's not working, like you were saying earlier, if you're complaining about something, fix it. Like we're in the seat to fix it.
We're
fix
done
it.
talking about
Let's
it.
change it right now. Fix it. Now, that being said, we also kind of have this unspoken rule that if either one of us are like, I don't want to talk about work, it's off.
Yep.
No questions, no complaints, no nothing ever.
Yep.
Like at all. So in the evenings, we typically just don't.
Really?
Yeah. So he still coaches on the floor. He loves coaching. I actually absolutely love coaching as well. But one of us has got to be with our 5.5-year-old, So he still coaches at night. I don't coach at night anymore right now. And so 3 nights a week, he gets home really late. And so the last thing he really wants to talk about is work then.
Sure.
But even like just in normal passing of life, we just don't talk about work a lot. And we have set like meetings.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is a good idea.
Which is like sometimes it's just he and I, and sometimes it's us and like the executive team.
Right.
And we're meeting and we have like a little chat where we put our agendas and do the things. And so, it's helped to, when you're in a busy office with people just tend to run in and out of each other's office. You don't get anything done.
Right.
So we all try to, and we're not perfect at this, but we try to
be very deliberate
of when we're save those conversations for when we're meeting, if they can be saved till then,
Absolutely.
Now there are times when he comes in and he's like, I don't know what to do.
Yep.
And I'll do step in and help. And he will probably say this willingly, but I still have work to do and keeping my mouth shut. Like,
Oh, I imagine.
like he sent out, he like sent out a policy this past week, and I don't believe in policies. I don't think policies are good. I'm more of a practice person.
Yeah.
He wanted a policy for whatever he was doing. And I wanted to tell him, like, why are you using the word policy?
Did you tell him?
No.
Oh.
But I did tell him that's the old logo at the top of that letterhead before you send it out.
You saw that.
I did say that, but I didn't say anything about the policy thing because it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's not critical to who we are. It's just my preference. Just not a big policy heavy person.
But you do need to have the right logo.
Yeah, but you do need to have the right logo.
Because you did catch that.
But I really should have just shut it and not said that either, right? Probably. Like, I don't know.
No. I think I think that's okay.
So I'm trying to embrace the, like, if it's being done about 85% as good as I would do it, then it doesn't matter, and just if it's not critical, this is not something we do. But there are times, and it's usually in our executive meetings, and Dia's sitting here behind the camera can attest to this, that we get heated.
Oh, I'm sure.
We do. And I'm like, no, there is not. We just had an argument about the friggin' cheer floor size.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care. This $2 million facility is going to have the right size floor. I don't care what size that floor is sitting over there.
Right.
But when we finish the day Saturday,
it's going to be done.
It's going to be the right size. And he's like, oh God. Like,
and I guess the balance is, though, ensuring that doesn't carry over.
Yeah. So at home, I'm just like, I think I'm a little bit different person. Because I make so many decisions all day, every day, I don't really want to call the shots.
Right.
And so he used to be really good at calling the shots at home.
Yep.
So I just like whatever he wanted to do. Well, now that he's calling a lot of shots also, it's probably more of like a give and take because we both are in like higher level positions now.
Yeah.
So
very interesting.
So it's been an interesting dynamic. We have such different personalities.
I know.
Yeah. Very different personalities. And so I think that helps as well. And he doesn't say much. He kind of lets me do my thing. But when he does say,
he stays quiet.
But when he does say something,
people listen.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I do too. I listen. If he says no, I'm okay. All right.
Yep.
So, and we don't typically get into arguments much anymore.
Right.
I think our relationship just as a partnership has evolved in that way.
I'm sure. Yeah. You learn to appreciate those aspects of each other.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And then sometimes, and he's really grumpy in the mornings and I'm like, hey, Brooke, ready,
chipper,
world,
chipper.
here we are.
Yeah.
Let's
Here we go.
So we kind of steer clear to like 10.
Stay quiet.
Yep. I
Let
go work
people
out.
do their own
I come
thing.
back. Yeah. So that's an interesting question.
Yeah. Good for you.
I don't think anybody's asked me that lately. Yeah, but it has changed a bit.
Seems like a logical question, and with the balance.
Yeah, it is.
One thing we've started doing occasionally. I'm not saying we do great at it either, and I don't know where I picked it up, but when we would talk about something, Caitlin and I would talk about something. One of us would say, "Now, do you want me to be comfort or coach?"
Okay, that's good because we need that. Justin and I need that
and start the conversation that way.
Are you asking for advice or you want me to listen? But
that's
I
right.
like the comfort or coach.
Yeah, so we talk about that too because
that's good. Write that down.
We're both very strong-willed and both feel like we have good ideas, and I'm sure we do, but sometimes you just want to vent and have somebody listen, and sometimes you do want that construction or the coaching of
hitting your mic.
Slam the microphone there. This is what I probably need to do, or this is what you probably should do. This is my perspective on it.
And sometimes you don't want that.
No, absolutely not.
And the other part about venting about work too is I have someone else in the company that's at a high level.
Right.
That I have learned to pick the phone up to call when I need that moment,
Right.
when it's better for them to hear than for
And
him to hear.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes,
Which makes sense.
and then he has the same. He has another person
Right.
that's at a high level in the company
That can do
because I
that
hear
too.
him in
Yeah.
there. And like I'll hear him and I'm like,
You're
I'm
listening.
like,
Yeah, I
I'm
want
like,
to go in there, but
yeah,
I'm not going
oh
to.
yeah, there he is on the phone with Jerry
Yeah.
Kay. And she's so trustworthy
Yep.
that he could tell her anything, you know.
Right. Which is
and-
awesome. And you need
right,
those people.
you do need
Yeah.
those people, but you have to be careful because, you know, you're dealing with personnel issues sometimes.
Sure.
And sometimes it's okay to talk about that and sometimes it's not. And so,
Yeah, you don't want to let all the cats out of the bag.
but sometimes you just need a moment to.
Right. Well, and interesting, you talked about role clarity too. So one of the things that I find is a challenge in businesses and that I do with most of the businesses that I consult with is ask them in one of the first meetings, who do you work for and who holds the role and responsibility over these tasks? And it's always comical, not comical, but comical to me that oftentimes they say different people.
Oh,
Like they don't know either.
Yeah.
And probably very
I've been
similar.
there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been
Every
there.
business has, which
Yeah.
is why I asked the question, because I think when you do have that role clarity and you clearly define responsibilities, it makes it a whole lot easier
It does.
to move forward for everybody.
Yep.
Because most of the time, the challenge comes from the confusion.
Yeah. Oh, it does.
You know?
It really
and
does.
it's just that nobody's ever taken the time. Well, I kind of do that sometimes, and so does that. And when you're small and wearing
Yep.
multiple hats, and then you grow out of that small stage,
Yep.
you really have to take the time to define that. So again, kudos to you guys for not only doing it, but then
Thank
redoing
you.
it
Well,
every
and
single
also
year.
we find too is when it's no longer your hat,
Right.
you got to let it not be
Yeah,
your
you got
hat.
to take it off your head.
And that's
Yeah,
hard.
right.
That's
That is
hard too. That's
Yeah,
very hard when it
turning
was your
loose.
baby.
Yep.
And I use the example, our cheerleading department leader, our cheerleading, other than our childcare business, our cheerleading is our largest department at our youth rec business.
Oh, wow.
And so it's about half the revenue of that business.
Holy cow.
And
Yeah.
so it's very big. And so I gave it away about
Mm.
4 or 5 years ago. And so that's the analogy I use in the company of I had to, first year was walking hand in hand because it was necessary.
Sure.
And after that, I had to just give it to her.
Yeah.
And it's way better than it was when I had it.
That's what I'm saying.
It
If you
is.
turn it over to people,
Yep.
even though you're usually hesitant to do so, and in your mind you want to think nobody's going to be able to do it better than me,
Yep.
and nobody can do it without me, and
Yep.
I'm critical, then you quickly realize,
Yep.
really, maybe I was holding it back.
Yep.
And I'm not saying you were, but just
Yeah.
in general, when somebody can dedicate 100% of their time to it
Yes.
instead of you dedicating 40% of your time,
Yes.
it'll far exceed what you were
I think
going
that's
to be
the
able to do with
truth
it.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's in most things.
Yeah, no doubt. That's good. We got
That
deep
is good.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just getting started here.
I know.
We're
We're
just
only
getting
halfway
started.
through.
We got this.
Yeah. Look,
How long have we
co-host?
been going?
No idea.
Oh, me either.
Yeah, feels like,
Yep,
just a few
10
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not. People listening are like, are y'all done yet? I was trying to finish this episode.
She said
So,
45.
45 minutes. That was good.
Not 4.5 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes.
So what else do you have to say about relationships? Anything else you want to add about relationships and balance?
No, I
and,
think I think relationships are important. I think I've always said
well,
this.
hell, I hope they are because we just talked about them for 45 minutes.
That's true. Another phrase that I like to use is that I think relational capital is the most valued,
Man, right?
most valuable capital. But I also think it's one of the most undervalued capitals to most people.
Oh, talk about what you were talking about earlier about kind of like over networking.
Oh yeah,
We were
no,
talking
I think
about before
that's
the
and that's something I struggled with early in my career. Is I genuinely love meeting people
Mhm.
and getting to know people and establishing a network. The challenge is when you do that, it adds value to your business. But if you solely focus on that with networking groups or professional development groups or leads groups or different things, you can get immersed in doing that to the point where that's all you're doing.
You're not going
It
back and
takes up all
working
your
on your
time.
business.
Yeah, it takes up all your time. And so I think you have to really balance again. I think you really have to balance those kind of things and assign other people to do those things if you truly see the value in
Yeah.
whatever organization that is. I think that's for all things, but that I see that a lot with people in their professional career, either when they first start or like what I would call midlife of their career. They have gotten their business to a point where it's much more automated and self-sustaining, and they kind of take their eyes off of it to an extreme, start doing some of those things so they have a little more free time, perceived free time, and they get away from kind of the
Mhm.
blocking and tackling the basics that still have to be done. I think you just have to balance all
I
those
think
things. Or
that's
it can
true.
be
It's
kind
hard.
of it can be a self-inflicted wound. It's just
Yeah,
not,
that's a good way to.
yeah,
That's
it's
a good
just
way to look
not,
at it.
Not practical for your business.
I think the last thing I'll talk about before we wrap up the episode is that I've had to learn in relationships too, and this was giving people control of my mental health, was that I'm only in control of my actions and
Right.
I'm not in control of how people respond to them.
That's right.
So, especially being in leadership or heck, being a parent and disciplining your
Yeah.
child or whatever it is, that you can only control like your next step and your action and the way you choose to handle it. And you can't control the way other people respond to that.
And you could also use that same theory in reverse, in that you can't control what somebody else does, but you can only control how you respond to it.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
And those are things that, we talk, Caitlin and I and Drake and I talk about that all the time. Like, especially with Drake at his age, you can't control what those around you are doing. You can only control how you respond to it and control your own actions.
Yeah.
Those things are going to happen. A lot of things are just going to happen. So yeah, I think that's super interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's a continual life journey.
Yeah, I think I still am learning.
Ever
no,
master
absolutely
that.
not.
You
No,
can't. You say you master.
not.
If you say you master that, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, well, that's with anything.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you're evolving every day, and should be working on things every day,
which is fun.
And getting. I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
What keeps getting us up? Okay, I'll tell you the last funny. No, this really is the last thing.
Okay, this is it. She says.
Okay, this is.
Then I got a couple more things.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
So, all right. So, like, whenever you came on the board of the chamber, I knew you were Blue Collar Consulting.
Yeah.
But it was like 2 weeks ago, so now this has been years. And I was like,
what was 2 weeks ago?
But I'm about to say.
Oh.
So hold on.
Oh, well, I thought you were like, that was like 2 weeks ago. Like when I got on the chamber? No, that's been a minute.
Pause for dramatic effect.
Sorry.
Ready? Yeah. Okay. Blue collar. Ah.
That just dawned on you?
Yeah.
What?
Of all the things. Right? I know. Like, yeah. My
Ian
friend
and I
David
are both rolling our eyes.
They
like,
had
what?
Blue Collar Consulting, and I would just say the name of your brand,
And
like
just
it was
never
Nike,
thought about it,
or like it was Target.
Yeah,
like
you never thought about it.
Well,
I'm glad you did put me in the same category with Nike and Target. Yeah,
Blue Collar
I'm good with
Consulting. And
that.
then about 2 weeks ago, I don't know. I was literally driving down the road. I was probably thinking about our podcast or something, and I went, Blue Collar, like the worker. Yep, there it went.
Pause for dramatic effect.
There it was. I know. So
wow.
There's my honesty moment. Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So what'd you think? So what'd you think after you rethought about it? Yeah.
That makes sense. Because I know like the type of clients you work with.
Yeah.
And I was like, that makes total sense.
Yeah,
Good play, David. Good play.
He's good. This guy's good. This guy's good.
Keep it simple.
I was very surprised, honestly, that it wasn't taken.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
know.
Like there is a Blue Collar Consulting that is like a national podcast. It is a brand,
but not like a company.
But not like a company that's a service related type company that offers those kind of assistance or help.
Yeah.
And I can't remember where they are, but some big city on one of the coasts. But I was very surprised because it seemed like a natural. Blue Collar Consulting seems like a natural name, which is probably why you never thought that much about it. Which is kind of the idea.
Ding!
Yeah.
Yep,
but in some ways, talking about, again, balance and tying all this together, in some ways, I think initially it was a little bit of a hindrance to my business because you isolate
I'm not
the business
blue collar.
offering. Right. And so I had people call me and say, hey, I've got a wealth management firm or I've got a fitness type facility.
And I'm not really blue collar.
I'm not really blue collar or don't associate it with blue collar. And so my answer to that is, to me, my personal opinion and professional opinion, there's a blue collar aspect to every business.
Absolutely.
Every business,
100%.
no matter what it is.
You got to clean the toilets.
Yep. Hard work, work ethic, all those kind of things are integrity, all that you can associate in the blue collar world also transition into more of a professional space. And so fortunately, I've had the opportunity and been blessed to work with companies that really transcend the blue collar.
Yeah.
But that's where my heart is. That's where I come from.
That.
And so, I really enjoy
There's your plug because I literally, that was like, ding moment.
It just hit you.
Yeah. And I was like, I see you.
Good.
I see you,
that
David.
means that means
getting real in the trenches.
Yeah, that's right.
There it
Get
was.
real in the trenches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to freeze your face and not move when you said it.
Yeah.
There it is. All right. Thank you guys for listening today. Until next time.
You've been listening to the Grit Crusade podcast with Brooke Plack. Our theme song is Thunder City by Lunar Ray, licensed through Soundstripe. This podcast was produced by Luminate Media Group. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.